The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home from another late night at the office. Being an IT specialist for a large firm in Seattle meant long hours, but I didn't mind. I loved my job, and more importantly, I loved my wife, Bronwyn. We'd been married for 15 years, a milestone I cherished. I always believed we had a strong, unbreakable bond. We met in college, two awkward souls finding solace in each other's company. Over the years, our love had deepened, weathered storms, and emerged stronger each time, or so I thought. As I pulled into the driveway of our cozy craftsman home in the suburbs, I noticed Bronwyn's car wasn't there. Probably at yoga, I reasoned, dismissing the slight unease that crept into my heart. She usually texted me when she had a late class, but I chalked it up to her being busy. I unlocked the front door, the familiar click usually bringing a sense of comfort. Tonight it felt hollow. "Bronwyn," I called out, my voice echoing through the silent house. No response. I walked into the kitchen, flipping on the light. A half-empty bottle of wine sat on the counter along with two glasses. Bronwyn rarely drank alone. My unease grew. I checked our bedroom, expecting to find her engrossed in a book or catching up on her favorite TV show. The bed was neatly made, the room empty. I pulled out my phone, intending to text her. But as I unlocked it, a notification popped up from our shared photo album on the cloud. Bronwyn and I had set it up years ago to automatically upload any photos we took, a way to share our lives with each other. The latest photo was timestamped just an hour ago. My heart pounded in my chest as I tapped on the notification. The photo loaded, and my world tilted on its axis. It was a picture of Bronwyn, her face flushed, her eyes half closed, kissing a man I didn't recognize. They were sitting at a dimly lit table, a romantic dinner setting behind them. The restaurant was clearly not in Seattle. The caption read, "Date night in Portland." I stared at the photo, my mind refusing to comprehend what I was seeing. Bronwyn cheating. It was impossible. This couldn't be real. My Bronwyn, the woman who had vowed to love and cherish me, the woman I had built my life with, was betraying me. A wave of nausea washed over me, and I stumbled back, collapsing onto the bed. My phone buzzed again. Another photo. This one was even more intimate, showing Bronwyn and the man holding hands across the table, their fingers intertwined. A surge of anger coursed through me, hot and consuming. I wanted to scream, to break something, to make the pain stop. But I was frozen, paralyzed by disbelief and hurt. I scrolled through the rest of the photos. There were several more, each one a dagger twisting in my heart. Bronwyn and the man laughing, dancing, walking hand in hand through the streets of Portland. They looked like a couple, a happy couple. A couple that wasn't us. Who was this man? How long had this been going on? Why would Bronwyn do this to me? My mind raced, searching for answers but finding only more questions. I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air in a sea of betrayal. I spent the next few hours in a daze, replaying the photos over and over again, trying to make sense of the senseless. I thought back to the past few months, searching for clues I might have missed. Bronwyn had been distant lately, spending more time with her new friends from her book club. She had been less affectionate, less interested in my life. I had attributed it to stress, to her being tired. Now I realized it was something else entirely. Around midnight, I heard Bronwyn's car pull into the driveway. My heart leaped into my throat. I wanted to confront her, to scream at her, to demand answers. But I also dreaded the confrontation, fearing what she might say, what she might reveal. I waited in the living room, the lights off, hidden in the shadows. I wanted to see her face, to gauge her reaction before she knew I knew. The front door opened and Bronwyn walked in, her face glowing, a soft smile on her lips. She looked happy, happier than I had seen her in months. "Hello," she called out, her voice light and carefree. She didn't suspect a thing. I stepped out of the shadows, my face grim. Bronwyn gasped, her eyes widening in surprise and then fear. "Kieran, what are you doing up?" she stammered, her smile vanishing. "I didn't expect you to be home." I didn't say anything. I simply held up my phone, the photo of her kissing the stranger on the screen. Bronwyn's face paled. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. "Who is he, Bronwyn?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "And how long has this been going on?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "Kieran, I can explain," she said, her voice trembling. "Explain what, Bronwyn? Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could lie to my face for months." I felt a surge of anger rising within me, threatening to consume me. "It's not what you think," she pleaded, taking a step towards me. I recoiled, flinching away from her touch. "Then tell me what it is, Bronwyn. Tell me the truth." She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. Finally she sighed, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "His name is Reese," she said, her voice barely audible. He's someone I met at my book club." "Reese," I repeated, my voice laced with sarcasm. "So this is what book club is like these days. Romantic dinners in Portland and passionate kisses. It just happened, Kieran," she said, her voice rising in desperation. "I didn't mean for it to happen. We just connected," I scoffed. "You connected so well that you decided to have an affair behind my back. I know I messed up," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Kieran. Please forgive me, forgive her. After everything, the thought was ludicrous. The pain was too deep, the betrayal too profound. I couldn't simply forgive and forget." "How long, Bronwyn?" I asked, my voice cold and hard. "How long has this been going on?" She hesitated again, her eyes filled with shame. "A few months," she whispered. "A few months." Months of lies, months of deceit, months of betrayal. My heart shattered into a million pieces. "I need you to leave, Bronwyn," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "I need you to leave right now. Kieran, please don't do this," she begged, her voice choked with sobs. "We can work through this. We can fix this." "There is nothing to fix, Bronwyn," I said, my voice flat. "You broke us. You destroyed everything we had." I pointed towards the door. "Leave." Bronwyn stood there for a moment, her face a mask of anguish. Then, with a final, heart-wrenching sob, she turned and walked out the door. I watched her go, my heart aching with a pain I had never known before. 15 years. 15 years of love, laughter, and shared dreams, all reduced to ashes in a single moment of betrayal. The next few weeks were a blur. I barely ate, barely slept, barely functioned. I went through the motions at work, but my mind was always elsewhere, replaying the events of that fateful night, wondering where I had gone wrong. I consulted with a lawyer, and we began the process of filing for divorce. Bronwyn didn't contest it. She knew she had messed up beyond repair. I learned that Reese was a divorced architect from Portland, a free spirit who had swept Bronwyn off her feet. Apparently, she had been feeling stifled and unfulfilled in our marriage. He offered her excitement and adventure, things I apparently couldn't provide. The divorce was finalized within a few months. I moved out of our house, unable to bear the memories it held. I found a small apartment downtown, a clean slate, a fresh start. But the pain lingered, a constant ache in my heart. One evening, a few months after the divorce, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer it, but something told me I should. "Hello," I said, my voice cautious. "Kieran." "Is that you?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes, who is this?" "My name is Isolde," she said. "I'm Reese's wife, or ex-wife, I should say." My heart skipped a beat. Reese's ex-wife. What could she possibly want with me? "I know about Bronwyn," Isolde said, her voice filled with bitterness. "Reese left me for her a few months ago. He said I was too boring, too predictable." Sound familiar? I was stunned into silence. So Bronwyn wasn't the only victim of Reese's charm. He had a pattern. "I just wanted you to know that you're not alone," Isolde continued. "Reese is a serial cheater. He's done this before and he'll do it again. He's a master manipulator, and he'll say whatever he needs to say to get what he wants." Her words resonated with me. I had been so focused on Bronwyn's betrayal that I hadn't considered Reese's role in all of this. He wasn't just an innocent bystander. He was a predator, preying on vulnerable women. "Thank you for telling me this, Isolde," I said, my voice filled with gratitude. "It helps to know that I'm not crazy, that I wasn't imagining things." Not crazy, Kieran," she said. "You were just unlucky enough to cross paths with a toxic person. I hope you find happiness again." "I hope you do too, Isolde," I said. We hung up, and I sat there for a long time, contemplating what Isolde had told me. Reese was the common denominator in all of this. He was the one who had orchestrated the destruction of 2 marriages. A seed of anger began to sprout within me, a desire for revenge. I couldn't let Reese get away with this. He needed to be held accountable for his actions. I spent the next few weeks gathering information about Reese. I learned that his architecture firm was struggling financially. He had taken out several loans, and his reputation had been tarnished by a few poorly designed buildings. An idea began to form in my mind, a way to strike back at Reese without stooping to his level. I used my IT skills to hack into his company's server. I found a lot of compromising data and sent everything to all his clients and investors. After that, his life started spiraling down. All of his investors and clients fired him. He went bankrupt and left Bronwyn. I heard through mutual friends that Bronwyn was devastated. Reese had used her, just like he had used Isolde. He had promised her a new life, a life of excitement and adventure, but he couldn't deliver. He was a fraud, a charlatan, and Bronwyn had fallen for his lies. I didn't feel any satisfaction in her suffering. I didn't want her to be miserable. I just wanted her to understand the consequences of her actions. I wanted her to realize that she had thrown away something precious for a fleeting moment of excitement. I never spoke to Bronwyn again. I moved on with my life, focusing on my career, my friends, and my hobbies. The pain of her betrayal never completely disappeared, but it dulled over time. I learned to trust again, to love again. Years later, I met someone new, a kind and compassionate woman named Alana. We fell in love and we built a life together, a life based on honesty, trust, and mutual respect. I finally found the happiness I had thought I had lost forever. Looking back on my marriage with Bronwyn, I realized that it wasn't a complete waste. It taught me valuable lessons about love, loss, and forgiveness. It made me stronger, more resilient, and more appreciative of the good things in my life. Bronwyn's betrayal was a painful chapter in my life, but it wasn't the end of my story. It was simply a turning point, a catalyst for growth and change. And in the end, I emerged from the ashes, a better, wiser, and more fulfilled man. I hope my story serves as a reminder that even in the face of betrayal, it is possible to find happiness again. It may take time, it may take effort, but it is always possible to heal, to forgive, and to move on. Don't let the pain of the past define your future. Embrace the present, cherish the good things in your life, and never give up on the possibility of love.